Hello, this is Jeremy Bream. I'll be going over study for student math scores versus drug use on a federal uh, level breakdown by state for the years 2013 through 2015. Data collection. Um, Most of the data that was collected from data.gov. From here, I was able to track down an API site where I was able to um, pull specific data for 2013 and 2015 for um, federal level student performance over several different demographics. Being that it was a government website, it was more prone to for believability and more solid and complete data. Of the different data sets that were available, none delivered the state level information that I needed for adolescent drug usage by state for those time frames. So I had to improvise with federal level information. Here we see a continuation of the data sets that were provided. Here I was filtered out the data sets by the federal level and also by specific uh, demographics and by the information type that were provided. I was mainly looking for APIs, but I also wouldn't mind CSVs and whatnot. National Center for Education Statistics is where I got the bulk of my information. From here, the API allowed me to pull data for all students for 2013 and 2015. It also gave me a percentage of scale score between the years, and it gave me a breakdown by state. And I pulled three different files: one for male-female information, another for white versus Hispanic, and also Hispanic versus black demographics. From there, I took the information and I compiled it into one CSV file that broke down by male, female, white, black, and Hispanic information, and also had a cumulative metric for all inclusive. Also, had to do a little bit of data wrangling where I had to change the data types for several of the columns in order to support numeric float data type. And also, there were some uh, nulls within the data set, and those had to be dealt with. As far as visualizations, on the first, I broke down between female and male. On the first pass, looking at the maps, you can tell that most of the Gulf Coast states form a nice cluster where test scores actually improved for math scores versus drug use, whereas the majority of the other states showed mild to severe declines in math performance due to or inconsistency with drug use. Looking at the raw numbers on the left side, you can see that the male to female performance on average is within tolerance of each other, and you see pretty much the same breakdown as far as drop off from 2013 to 2015 as far as math performance. On this slide, we see a breakdown for the all category and also for the white student performance. For the all inclusive, we see the same clustering for the Gulf Coast states and some of the central, but also see um, a cluster of extreme underperforming states as well in the central area, whereas followed around the outskirts in the New York area, also on the Pacific side, where um, they are also underperforming but not as severe. For the all category, the top averages are close to 250, starting with Massachusetts, and it starts steadily dropping off, whereas to a mean close to 240. For white student performance, for Massachusetts, it spikes over 270, which I consider to be a extreme outlier, and didn't really pose that as a point of interest at the moment. Whereas the majority of other states started at 260 and ran a variance close to 245. And again, the clustering patterns followed suit, though some were slightly negative in their performance. They still perform better than other states. And also here you can see that the drop-offs for the white student population, it drops off about by 10 for the most part. But as we get into the next slide, the black and Hispanic performance, you'll notice some of the nulls that I was talking about earlier. It affects, being that in order to bridge the gap, I'd have to pull more data and do some averaging of the numbers, or it just had to be left out completely for that that slice. But here for the black performance, you notice that overall between black and Hispanic, the test scores start off lower than other students, and you also see higher instances of negative driven spikes in lower performance, and also follow suit with Hispanic as well. But you also see spikes in other states that are more higher in density, and the variance is a lot better than an overall white. Whereas if it does go above the mean, it's only slightly. Whereas these ones, there's a significant shift in the performance. The drug use data, again, this is a federal level, and for this slide, we're showing that cigarette use, even though it is not illegal, it is if they're under 18. It shows that current trends amongst the demographics is dropping off over the years, except for between 2013 and 2014, where it was a tenth of a percent change for Hispanic or Latino. Granted, this is only for 1 year. I would have to wait until the next subsequent year to verify that it's just not an outlier performance, and that the trend continues. This slide depicts the drugs that were the type of drugs that were broken down, that were misused by adolescent students. As you can see, marijuana is more used by almost 5% over the second place finish of the non-medical use of psychotherapeutics, and other ones are well under 1% and are marginal at best, leaving marijuana to be clearly the top usage drug. This slide depicts the marijuana usage amongst the adolescents. Even though you see a trend of a slight negative trend, and then it uptakes for for two of the studies that were given, they're either stable trends or slightly upticking, whereas the middle trend was showing that it was a drop off. Granted, again, being it was only one data source that was showing a downward trend, need more data in order to validate the findings and conclude that it is indeed dropping off. In summary, the majority of the state's student math scores are dropping in correlation with the usage of marijuana. At the current state, the causation is not guaranteed, until I can get the state level data and be broken down further to verify the correlation carries over on that level, and also by the intensity at which it or severity of the fallout per state that follows the test scores. And also, with continued focus to reduce the drug usage, it will continue to contribute to turnaround in the current math performances amongst adolescents. The issues that I had I outlined earlier. Here I have null test or test scores that were received where the data isn't there and it's incomplete. Being that it's only for 2 years worth of data, basically those for that state it would just have to be dropped or take more years in consideration and try to average the mean shift. And also being that the drug data in question was from a federal level and not a state level, so you can't really tell if the data is skewed for specific states or if it actually follows the state performance. And here's the references. Thank you for your time.